First of all, want to again express my condolences to Elizabeth, to Samim's sister, Burgess, to his niece, Aisha, and to all his friends and relatives and people whose lives he touched. Let me introduce myself first so that you know who I am. I was called in one day to talk to Elizabeth because Samim was in hospice. So I was called in not knowing what was to expect. I happen to be a deacon in the Roman Catholic Church. And I mention this morning simply because I know I've met some of you here who are from St. Francis Cathedral here in Metuchen. And so you may say, what am I doing here? Since this is not a Catholic service, but it is a service of people. It's a service of a man whose life you are all here to share, to memorialize, a life that really meant a lot to the world. And for us, it doesn't matter Catholic, Jew, Muslim. It doesn't matter what religious affiliation we have. It's affiliation of love, love shared by a person, the joys of his life shared with others, and what he has done for others that really means something to you and to me too. So what we're going to be doing this morning is, it's not a funeral. It's a time of joy, a time of celebration. It's a time we celebrate Samim's life. You'll be hearing some readings, not from a Bible, not from a Quran, some spiritual readings in a way, readings that some of you will probably recognize. All I ask of you is to just be nice and comfortable, and at times dream of the times that you spent with Samim, the times that you've shared your life with him. And so I begin with a reading from Khalil Gibran. A woman said, "Speak to us of joy and sorrow." And he answered, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked. And the selfsame will form, well from which, same for you, little uptight at first, but, and the selfsame well with which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it only that you have given that which has given you sorrow, that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again into your heart, and you will see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep in your bed. Verily, you are suspended like the scales between sorrow and joy. In the conversations that I had with Elizabeth, we talked about the life and the meaningful of life and the thoughtful spirit of Samim. I was also drawn to the words of Henry David Thoreau, who said in reflecting on his experiment at Walden Pond, he wrote, "I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear, nor do I wish to practice resignation, unless it was quite necessary. Let us spend one day as deliberately as nature and unrelaxed nerves, with morning vigor, sail by it, looking another way and tied to the mast like Ulysses." I know when I looked at this, I could take this as really the true meaning of spirituality. Spirituality as Samim lived his life. I know that, again, when I talked to Elizabeth, Samim was a man who loved people. He loved Elizabeth. He loved children. He was a caring, generous person, a poet, a musician, a cook, a baklava. I was told not to forget that by one of the people who came in today, and I wasn't sure I was going to use it because some of you are probably going to tell us about that. And he shared that with everybody. He shared it with everybody at Christmas time. I was told by Elizabeth. Lover of jazz, a banker, comedian. One of the things that really intrigued me was he was a kite flyer too. Made the most colorful flights. I shared with Elizabeth, I happened to read an article about a man who flew kites with his little grandchild. And then, or with his son rather, and then his son flew kites with the grandchild. And so it intrigued me when I saw this article, and I read some of the things about Samim's life. I read too many things. There were so many, not too many things, but so many things that kind of told me the type of a person he was. As I shared with them yesterday, if I were up here doing a Catholic service, I would be doing exactly the same thing, because he lived his life to the fullest. He lived the kind of a life that anyone who really understands life should lead. He fed the hungry. I told you with baklava, but with other things too. He gave drink to the thirsty. He helped those who were in need. He worked with the people who had some alcoholic problems, and he was recognized for that. He was also a person who, once you met him, and I really am sorry that I have never met him, but I know my day will come when I will meet him, because he was the type of a man that I think we could get along together. We could renew my love for jazz, which has kind of faded away, and we could renew my love for kite flying too. And I would love to eat some of that baklava.